All right, what's up, guys? So, right now, as it stands, I have a few minutes before I have to go ahead and get ready to go to the gym. With that being said, I want to go ahead and make this video out to you guys because I want it to be a forewarning. I never really talk about the consequences of going to hell unless, or the consequences of disobeying God, unless it pertains to, you know, something sort of along the lines of like, tomorrow is not always promised, and because of that, you can face judgment uh, if you do end up passing and you're not right with God. So I want to go ahead and give you guys this, and I feel like telling you guys this is probably one of the most important things. It was a dream that I had many months ago. In fact, I want to say it was almost a year ago I had this dream. In fact, I've had multiple dreams where I've been stuck behind during the rapture, when the rapture would come, and so it kind of always made me skeptical on the or more on the fence of like, am I really going to heaven, or is this a sign that I need to turn to Jesus? And I would pray, ask him for forgiveness, and then carry on about my day and pretty much do the same thing I normally do. And the next day, or that either that day, I would pray right before going to bed, or which I made it a habit for like a week, and then I didn't do it anymore. And then there was also the next morning I would go ahead and pray for forgiveness, and hopefully that he would strengthen me and continue on about my day. And whatever is in his will for me, that I would that he'll shine his light on it, right? But the one thing that I never really got to talk about was, or never got to asking, is where am I going to go? You see, a lot of people get these visions. I would say it's more so a vision. This the past couple of times that I've had these dreams where the rapture would happen, and then I would be left behind with either my sister, my brother, or just anybody in general that I do care about. I would be left behind. There was one instance where, as soon as the rapture had occurred, I noticed that my entire family had left without me, and I essentially was bound to hell. Now, this is kind of weird in a sense because it's gonna it's gonna give you some. I'm just gonna give you some imagery. So here's how it all started. I'm at a party, and all of a sudden, my family members, one by one, blue flames start coming from underneath them, and those blue flames represented a good flame, them being sent to heaven. The ones that had an orange flame were the ones sent to hell, in which I didn't see anybody. But in this moment, I did see Jesus. Jesus was getting ready, like he had a list. He had a physical list of who was going to heaven that day, and everybody else's name, even people that don't believe, everybody else's name was on that list except for mine. And so I had told him, I was like, Lord, listen, I understand that today, I didn't pray for forgiveness or anything like that, but I have done a lot of good things in your name. And, I was just asking, if I'm just wondering if you could give me some leeway. And in that moment, he was kind of upset. Um, and there was a reason why he was upset, because he smiled and everything like that. And, I told him, this is what I did, this is what I did, and this is what I did, and I'm over here helping you save lives so that way people can go to heaven, you know. So he sees all of that, and then he looks at the book of life, which I'll guess I'll go ahead and reference it as the book of life, and he doesn't see my name. And when he looks at this paper, the people that he immediately sees, their names are already on it. It's highlighted in blue, right? But then whenever he comes to me, he'll see nothing. He doesn't see my name. And so that was when he started to weep, and I was like, are you serious? Like, I'm not on the book of life. Why? What's going on? And that was the moment he said to me that he didn't know me. Now, he said that, and in knowing that, it brought me this terrible feeling of anguish, because it was like the one person that, I wanted to accept me, which was Jesus, and obviously the Father himself, but the one person I wanted to accept me so that way I can enter into heaven, well, now he has even turned away from me because I was not in the book of life. He doesn't know me, And so I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys this right now. It doesn't matter what you do in this in the vision, in this dream. It didn't matter what I did in my lifetime. What mattered was my relationship with Jesus was on point. And the fact was, I was not on point. I was not on point in following Jesus. I was not on point in spreading the gospel like I am today. I'm not on point with actually getting into the word. This, that, and the other. These things were all toppling on top of each other, and it was just like one thing led to another, and one sin stacked on top of another. Even though I've only done one thing, all of these sins now are weighted on me, or weighed me down. So it was just like, dude, this sucks, because the one person I really wanted to stick up for me has now turned away from me because he didn't know me. And I want to say this is the worst part of the entire thing. This is the worst part. So, I see that not everybody has left just yet. He's handpicking, searching for people left and right. And while, I'm no longer in the physical realm, my spirit has now been bound to hell. And this is where it gets really insane. So I am seeing, okay, and this is where the video game stuff kind of plays into thing, because all of a sudden it turned into like everything was pixelated, everything was Minecraft and stuff like that, but there was lava flow, and all this dark stuff like in the Nether that you would see in that game. So all that stuff was going on, but at the same time I felt all the fire. I felt every bit of pain, everything that just I would feel, I because it was fire and brimstone, gnawing and gnashing. They had demons and stuff like that all over the place, and everybody's crying out. Every soul that has been bound to hell, you can hear their screams, and there's only one way to heaven, and that's through Jesus Christ. The fact is, I was not part of that. So I went ahead, and I'm at this fence, this wooden fence, and on the other side, so I'm in hell, and on the other side of this fence is the physical realm, which is earth, right? So the physical plane where everybody is at, and I'm over here yelling to people just so that way they can hear me cry out, saying, hey, you need to get right with him now, because you don't want to be here. And unfortunately, nobody could hear me. Now, fortunately enough, everybody else, like I said, everybody else was in the book of life, so they disappeared as Jesus was showing up to everybody's doorstep. People were having this blue fiery, this blue fire just quickly go, and they disappeared, and that was and like the soul rose, so they disappeared as if God was grabbing all of his children to go into heaven before he banished everybody else to hell. So this was going on. I could see it happening, but there were other people there that didn't make it, and so the worst part yeah, the worst part was like I couldn't talk to anybody. I didn't know how I could reach anybody, and I was just left behind for eternity. And that wasn't even like that was just the beginning, because that was everybody getting ready to go up into heaven. This is not even counting the fact that the people after the fact, after everybody was taken away, the fire intensified. What I remember from this dream, and this was months ago, almost a year ago maybe, I just remember it vividly. I remember, like, on my back there was constant fire, almost as if it was all over the body, but especially on my back, almost as if somebody was pouring some sort of flame on my back, like I was laying down and everything like that. And not to mention, my body is inside this area. So like I said, it's the nether. My body is inside the lava pool, right? And I guess that would represent the fiery pit. Um, but the worst part of it was, it felt like, and this I guess would be a representation of God's wrath after everybody is gone, everybody is banished to hell. Then comes the second death, and that fire was intensified, and everything like that. So it just continuously got worse and worse. And even though I tried to save people that were already in hell, I couldn't save anybody. It was already too late. So I guess the reason why I want to go ahead and make this video is because it's pretty important. It's imperative that we understand what the signs are. God has given me this dream, and I didn't even think anything of it. Obviously, I'm thinking to myself, like, man, that was a wild dream. Got to make sure I'm right with God, because today is not or tomorrow's not always promised. Because I woke up from the dream after that, I went ahead and prayed and everything like that, and pretty much I had to go get ready for work. And so, yeah, not exactly a fun topic, right? I guess what I'm trying to say is, there's a reason why I was given this dream all those months ago, almost a year ago. And there's probably been a reason why I've seen multiple dreams of the rapture and me and certain family members being left behind. It's not just for me, right? It's for you guys as well. And I feel like this is the next step, towards my journey. I need you guys to understand that it's coming. He's given me signs. I'm sure he's telling people left and right, giving people these dreams, these wild, hectic dreams of the rapture happening, of people being left behind, of hell itself, and even dreams of heaven, which I have, of course, seen. I'll go ahead and do a topic on that on my next video, probably after I get off work, get out of the gym. And yeah, so the fact is, people need to understand that hell is a dangerous place. It's a place of eternity with fire and sulfur, gnawing of teeth, unquenchable fire. A fire is never going to go out. And from what I've seen, or like, little snippets here and there in different gospels that Jesus described, he said that there are bugs that will never die out. Those bugs specifically are maggots that'll continuously feed upon your soul. And it's painful. The fact that I felt the pain in the dream, and I wouldn't say it necessarily transferred to real life, but it was almost as if I was there. I got a glimpse of hell. And I got a glimpse of him turning me away, which is one of the most depressing things that could ever happen. The day of judgment. And Jesus says, "Go away. I never knew you." That'll be the day that there's going to be a lot of regret. There's going to be a lot of weeping, a lot of sorrow, and it's a scary thing. It's a very, very scary thing. And I wish and I pray upon you guys that it never happens to you. Now, if the dreams happen, that's fine, because he's at least giving you a glimpse of what it's like and why you need to get right. And thankfully, in recent days, in like the recent weeks that have been passing, I dropped my smoking habit that I recently picked up. Once again, it just disappeared. I no longer have that urge once again. I'm reading a little bit more into the Gospels nowadays. I am talking to other coworkers who are also Christians, and even people that don't believe, just openly speaking about how proud I am to have God in my life. Now I know and I understand it's not good to boast, but these things, they're life-changing events. God is going to reinvent you whenever you're finally broken down, right? He's going to break you down and build you up the way he wants you to be. So I pray that he does the same thing for you. I pray that everything that you experience is nothing but God's grace, and that you make him happy, and that he remembers you in the book of life and everything of that sort. Because at the end of the day, nothing is more important to me than, no matter if you're my enemy, you're my friend, family, or just even a stranger, nothing would soothe me more than knowing that you guys, as well as myself, are in the book of life. That is the video of today. I gotta get ready for the gym, so let me go ahead and do that. But you guys have a great day, and love y'all. God bless y'all, and yeah. I'm not saying that I want anybody to feel the exact same pains or anything like that, or see the exact imagery, but I hope that you can get a glimpse of the severity of the situation when you deny God. That's what I pray. Pray this in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.